Okay, in the last video we started talking about how to use equations to solve real-world problems. We're going to continue on with examples, starting with example 4 and kind of finishing the rest of these up. So example 4, same situation, write an equation for the situation, then use the equation to find the solution. Okay, remember our 4 steps. We're going to read and underline or highlight, write an equation, solve, check your solutions. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through that. So first, John and Sarah are planting tulip bulbs. John has planted 60 bulbs and is planting at a rate of 44 bulbs per hour. Sarah has planted 96 bulbs and is planting at a rate of 32 bulbs per hour. In how many hours, okay, how many hours, I'm going to change colors here because that's our question. That's going to help me there. So in how many hours will John and Sarah have planted the same number of bulbs, and then how many bulbs would that be? Okay, so 2 things. So let's go ahead and kind of set up our equation here. What they're asking us to find is, first, we need to know how many hours. So I'm going to use h for my variable. It stands for hours. Okay, so if John's already planted 60 bulbs, plus he is planting 44 bulbs per hour, that's going to be 60 plus 44h. And that comes right from this table right here. We just need to put some symbols in. And we want to know when that's equal to Sarah, and she has planted 96 bulbs, and she's going at a rate of 32 bulbs per hour. So the same thing, 96 plus 32 bulbs per hour, change that into math symbols, and you have your equation. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to solve. And in my last video, I told you that I like to move the smaller of the two to avoid negative numbers. Some teachers will tell you to move it to the left. We're going to do minus 32h on both sides. So we have 60 plus 12h equals 96. We're going to subtract 60 from both sides. So we're left with 12h equals 36. And then we're going to divide by 12. So 36 divided by 12 gives us 3 hours. Okay, so that answers our first question. There's actually a second question here, and that is, how many bulbs would that be? So what we need to do is we need to plug this back in. If John has planted 60 bulbs so far, let's see if I can fix this real quick. Fix up a little bit more room. So if John has planted 60 bulbs so far, and he's planting at a rate of 44 bulbs per hour, and we know that after 3 hours it's going to be the same, we're going to plug in 3. We're going to do 44 times 3 first, using our order of operations. And we get 132. And then we're going to add 60 to that to get 192. So that means in 3 hours they will have planted the same number of bulbs, and they will have planted 192 bulbs. Okay, let's try the next one. 4 times Greg's age. So 4 times Greg's age, we're going to say G, decreased by 3. So 4 times Greg's age. 4 times Greg's age, decreased by means 3, or minus 3, is equals 3 times Greg's age, increased by 7. Okay, so look at your keywords there, and then we're going to solve. Let's go ahead and subtract 3g from both sides. So I get g, or 1g, minus 3 equals, and I'm left with 7. Okay, so last step here, add 3 to both sides. G is 10. So Greg is 10 years old. Okay, so 2 equations that you had to set up where there are variables on both sides, still using the same steps we used in 1.1 and 1.2. to solve your equation. I want you to go ahead and try these 2 problems. You might need some extra paper, so if you do, go ahead and take that out. And then I want you to try number 3 and 4. And then once you're done with those 4, have them checked. So go ahead and pause your video now. Try 1, 2, 3, 4 in the guided practice. Have them checked when you're finished, and then when you're ready, we'll go through the last example. Okay, the last type of problem is a special type of application, and it's called consecutive integers. Okay, so what you need to consider is if 2 numbers are in a row, we increase by 1. So if I have 1 and 2, I'm going to add 1 each time to get to the next number. Consecutive integer means the next number in order. So we're going to use that concept to help us set up these problems. So if I tell you that 2 consecutive integers are 81, when I add them, we're going to take n, which is my first consecutive integer. I have no idea what it is. And then I'm going to take n plus 1, because that would be the next number after it. And I'm going to add them together because it's telling me the sum. 2 consecutive integers is 81. So what we need to do here is we need to combine like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and add n plus n, which is going to be 2n, and bring down my plus 1. And then I'm going to solve. So subtract 1 from both sides to get 2n equals 80, and divide by 2. So I get n, or my first number, is 40. We need to know what the 2 numbers are, so my first number is 40. My next number after 40 is 41. Okay, so if it says 2 consecutive integers, you're going to use n and n plus 1. For b, it says the sum, so we're adding again, of 2 consecutive odd integers is 56. Okay, so this time, my first integer that is odd is going to be n, but then to get to the next odd number, I actually have to add 2. Okay, and that works for odd or even. Because if I start with 1, my next odd number is 3. 1 plus 2 gives me 3, so that's why I'm adding 2 this time. So the sum of those 2 consecutive odd integers is 56. Once I have that set up, we're just going to solve like we did before. We're going to combine our like terms. So n plus n is 2n plus 2 equals 56. And we're going to go ahead and solve. So subtract 2 from both sides. We get 2n equals 54. And then divide by 2 to get n equals 27. So my first odd number is 27. The next odd number is not 28. It's going to be 29. So my 2 numbers are 27 and 29. So that's the last of applications. I want you to try 2 more guided practice problems. When you finish, have those checked, and then we will give you your homework. Just to kind of recap, these are the application problems. Next, we're actually going to start talking about absolute value equations. And in my classes, if you have extended Algebra 1A, we are going to actually take a mini test before we do this next lesson. So we're going to squeeze that in before this. Okay? If you have any questions, raise your hand, ask, we'll help you out. If not, do your guided practice, have it checked, and then you can move on to your homework. Have a great day.